And these were my favorite types of events because you're not just talking to random people. You're talking to people from the embassy. And they were a huge inspiration for my future career because I looked at them and I thought, I want to be like those people. I want to travel the world. I want to spread my culture around. And I would always ask them, like, how did you end up being a consul? Or how did you end up working in an embassy? These are my favorite types of events, so definitely reach out to those organizations and definitely follow them everywhere. In terms of like social media, not like stalking, follow them on social media and see what kinds of events they organize in your city or in your country. Number 3. There are also other types of clubs and communities for English speakers. I was a part of such a community, again, in St. Petersburg. It was a really small community, maybe 20 people. I was introduced by a friend from school, and he attended their events regularly. But basically, what they did, they would invite someone, even Russian, like they would just invite someone who's good at English to speak about something. So, we had a lady who wrote a book, and she was talking about this book in English. Oh, we had a mayor of Edinburgh who just came to St. Petersburg. He was talking about Edinburgh. We had somebody who was translating English books into Russian. We had a CEO of a store where they sold books in English. So, different interesting people, again, holding conversations in English. Google something like this. You would definitely have something, at least online, something that you can attend. Oh, we're going to talk about online resources a little later in this video, but I want to focus on offline first. I don't know, I like offline communication. And I've been missing offline communication a lot. In the past year, when the whole thing started, if you think that your English is not enough to start speaking, first of all, you're wrong. If you understand this video, you probably have a lot of knowledge to help you start speaking. But the second thing that you can do is take one of my courses. I have a course that is specifically for people probably like you, intermediate, have a lot of knowledge, but are afraid to speak. We focus a lot on how to actually start speaking. We focus a lot on how to build your speech so that it sounds natural, like all the vocabulary that you can use, grammar that you can use. The course is called Intermediate to Advanced. It starts every month. It lasts 30 days, and there you also have groups where you can communicate with others. We have special chats for people, and this is a great way to find a speaking buddy and also improve your language skills with me. The classes are pre-recorded, so you can take them from anywhere, anytime. You will get tests after every module, so you will be able to practice whatever you just learned. And I've created this course with a professional teacher, Vania, who's also not a native speaker, but you won't be able to tell because he's just mastering this pronunciation. Like, he's amazing at that. The link will be below, and you will have a special promo code because you watched this video. The next thing that you can do is go to meetup.com. I don't know if it's available in your country necessarily, but I also know that even people who come to the US, they struggle to practice English because they end up living in a community of people from their country. And I know there's like a huge community in New York, a huge community of Russians. And I was in that neighborhood, and everything is in Russian. Like, if you go to a bank, it's Bank of America, but everything is in Russian, and people are Russian, you know. And I know there are Chinatowns, there are India towns, and a lot of those smaller communities, which are great in terms of like, when you come there, you feel like at home. But if you're trying to practice English, it might be really hard. So, if you are in that situation, go to meetup.com and see what kinds of events are organized around your area and attend those events. Again, they're probably all online right now, but I'm not sure because it depends on the country where you are. In California, almost everything is still online. But the thing is, this site, meetup.com, has a separate page for people who want to practice languages, and they have different groups all over the globe in small and big cities. All the links will be below, so you will have all the resources that you can use later on when you decide to start practicing English. And I hope that you decide right after this video, because practice makes perfect. Another thing that I've seen trending on different social media like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, etc., especially because I'm an influencer and I get a lot of DMs from people like, "Oh, can you practice English with me?" Or, if I organize a group, I have like a big Telegram channel, and some people complained that they became a part of this Telegram channel, and they just got random DMs from people who want to practice English. I don't think that's the best idea, just reaching out to people and cold texting them like, "Can you practice English with me?" Because it is a little weird. It might work, and, I found a friend in Germany this way. I was just randomly texting people on Skype to practice German, and then we actually met in person. Not a friend, but like a person I know, and he was willing to communicate with me. He was the same age, and it was kind of okay. But this is the only thing that ever worked for me in terms of like cold texting people. What you can do is you can join IELTS and TOEFL groups on Facebook and WhatsApp, or whatever you're able to find in your country and your city, or whatever you're able to find online. Because when people are preparing for TOEFL and IELTS, they tend to be more serious. Their English language skills tend to be better, and this would enhance your experience. There are also some other apps that were created specifically for finding a speaking buddy. The apps are Speak Native, OpenTalk, Speaky, Halo, and there are many others. From all the platforms, I really like Speak Native just because you have to create an introductory video about yourself before you start communicating with others, and that really helps you determine whether you want to talk to that person, because you want to see their level of English, their interests, etc., and when you have this introductory video, it really helps. Let's talk a little more about offline. So, whenever you're planning your next travel, think about taking a language course instead of just being a tourist. And I've been promoting this for years. I'm a product of language travel. My company, LinguaTrip, helps you guys travel around the world and book courses all over the world. So, if you are thinking of going to the UK or Canada or another English-speaking country, just make your research. Because whenever I compare staying at a hotel versus taking a course and staying at a local host family, the second option is always cheaper because it is a student option. You get student rates, and you get to practice English a lot. You get to communicate with students from all over the world, and of course you get to communicate with native speakers because all the teachers and schools are native speakers. Another thing that you can do, I don't know if you want to do it, but I did it, is just calling American companies. Again, you can get a Viber app, maybe pay like a couple of dollars to make calls, and you will get like unlimited calls for a month. Just call American companies and ask them. Like if you're dreaming of going to New York and staying at this hotel where they shot Home Alone, if you want to stay in the hotel, just call them and ask, "Hey, I wanted to ask if you have any rooms available for next week, and what's the rate? Can I get a discount?" Like, just that kind of thing. It is their job to answer, and who knows, maybe you'll end up coming. And the last, but not the least, my Instagram is a resource where you can find a lot of people. And I feel that people on Instagram, in terms of like writing down in comments below, they're more responsive than on YouTube. So if you just go to my Instagram, subscribe to my profile, and then whenever I post my next post, you can just write in comments below that you're looking for someone to practice English and you're from this country. Like, talk about yourself. I am a student of this university, from this country, and I'm looking for somebody from another country who doesn't speak my language to practice English. Because my audience is really international, I have people from all over the world, and good chances are somebody would respond. Just make sure that you write that comment very soon after my post comes out, because this is when it gets a lot of traction, a lot of attention, and this is your way of finding a buddy. So, in the previous video, I gave you 8 methods to start practicing English right away. Let me know down in the comments below which one you would start using now, and please go into details. I'm gonna read your comments. Hey guys, welcome to Bookish English. Today, we're going to talk about improving your speaking skills in English. I hear this so much. Marina, I can't understand English, but I can't speak it. Whenever I see a native speaker, I want to hide. Whenever I hear people speaking English, I want to hide. What do I do? How do I overcome the situation? So, my best advice here would be, like, talk to natives every single day. Yes, you would be scared at first, but then you're going to get better and better. And this is what study abroad trips are for, and this is why I started LinguaTrip, where we help people find a study abroad program. By the way, the link will be below. Some English-speaking countries are open and welcoming English language students, but I know that not everyone can afford going on those trips. And I know that some of you have never seen native speakers in your life. That was my case when I lived in Russia. I would go to different museums, and I would listen in the streets if there were any native speakers, and I would try and approach them because I needed to practice my English badly. But you can start preparing yourself now. You can start preparing for that situation where you will encounter a native speaker, and you will start your real English conversation. So, tip number 1 is to have a cheat sheet. If you watch my channel for a while, you know that I've created a lot of videos, like 50 common phrases in English and 25 common phrases in English. The thing is, when you learn a language in phrases, it's a lot easier to speak it compared to when you learn English or another language in words. Because once you learn phrases, you know how to communicate using those phrases. So, having like a cheat sheet where you have those 50 common phrases in English written down, learn some of them at least. Like, how are you doing? You know, instead of thinking, oh, what should I say? How are you? Or how's your day going? Whatever, you learn one. How are you doing? And you know what this phrase means. Learn all of those intro phrases like I wanted to ask you, or I was just wondering if, you know. all of those phrases again. They take away the pain of thinking, how should I phrase this? And once you're pronouncing this phrase, you can actually think about the content that comes later. This advice also works for exams. So, for example, if you're taking TOEFL or IELTS, and if you're afraid of the speaking part, learn the templates. Learn the phrases. They're going to help you sound smoother. And the same with conversational English. Learn the phrases, learn the structure. Write down all the phrases into your phone, have them in notes, and use them when you speak. The next tip is to chat with either Siri, Amazon Alexa, or whatever you have on Google. Okay, Google. I've noticed that so many times when some of my Russian friends started talking to Siri, she would not understand what they meant because of their pronunciation. And this is very good practice, because if Siri does not understand you, something is wrong with your pronunciation. Yes, sometimes they have bugs, and sometimes you just pronounce the word in a different way. But the thing is, it is really helpful because you're getting instant feedback. If Siri didn't get you, then something was wrong. The next tip that I use a lot. I used to use a lot. I no longer use it because I think I've mastered this. But anyways, when I was not living in the US, I would talk to myself every single day. And whenever you're doing something in your head, just say it. I am recording this video for my channel. Oh, I just got a message from my friend. I'm about to call my mom. I'm about to go to bed. And whatever you can do in English, just do it in English. Just talk to yourself in your head. If you pronounce that, that's even better. Because sometimes, when we're thinking about something in our head, we just, if we forgot the word, we just skip it. But if you're trying to pronounce it, you're like, oh my God, I forgot this word. I need to look it up, so pronounce everything where you're thinking. When you're home alone, it's a lot easier. The next technique is called the imitation technique. When you watch something on TV, you watch something on Netflix, you watch something with subtitles on YouTube, you can hear a phrase, read it, then pause. Not only try to repeat this phrase with the same intonation, but try to paraphrase it. Try to use some different words because in this way, you would be sure that you understood the phrase and you would be practicing other vocabulary as well. So, when you pause the movie, when you pause a video, just imagine that you're the character and try to pronounce that phrase in the same manner, replacing some words. I also suggest that you exaggerate whenever you're mimicking someone, because it's always like that with the language. If you want to sound more natural, you would sound like you're being a clown to your brain, and you would sound like you're exaggerating a lot to your brain. And that's the right thing to do, because when you are practicing a foreign accent, it would sound foreign to your brain. So, try to exaggerate as much as you can. Whenever you sound like a crazy person to yourself, that means that you're on the right track. And if you do everything that I mentioned in this video, your goal is to start thinking in English. That is a little hard. It's like meditation. When you meditate, people tell you that you have to stop thinking at all. And whenever you notice that you're thinking about something, you just notice that you're thinking about something and stop. Again, the same technique with thinking in English. You think in English, and then you realize you're actually thinking in your own language. You don't punish yourself. You tell yourself, okay, I was actually thinking in my own language, so I just stop here, and I try to think in English again. And then again, Once your brain tells you, oh my God, let's think in my own language, you switch back again. The more you surround yourself with English speech every single day, the more you start thinking in English. That's just the way it works, and it is okay that after some time, you would comment down below here and say, Marina, but it's impossible to think in English when you don't live in an English-speaking country. And I would totally agree with you. But practicing the skill before going to an English-speaking country would really help you because I tried to do that. And when I came to the UK, after week 1 of not speaking my own language, I started thinking in English. Of course, when I came back home, I started thinking in Russian again, but then I mastered the switch. So right now, whenever I have to speak English, I think in English, and whenever I have to speak in Russian, I think in Russian. And then the next level is switching between languages, because there is something I don't like doing, but I keep doing it. Using English words in my Russian speech, which really makes it a little dirtier. But that's a whole new game. This is like the advanced level, and once you master this, you're like upper advanced. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. I hope you enjoyed this content, and I hope it would help you speak English faster and better. By the way, if you want to sound more American, if you want to practice American speech, we have a whole course for you, prepared by my friend Vanya, who's an amazing American accent expert who mastered it himself, who taught me my American accent as well. The link will be below. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In one of the last live streams, you asked me, Marina, what do I do if I understand the language but I cannot speak it? Guess what? I have the same problem, and I can give you a few tips that really helped me overcome this problem. So if you're interested, please continue watching this video. Back to San Francisco. Thing number 1 that you have to understand is that our brain is a magic thing. It actually has all of the information, because sometimes you think, oh my God, I have been learning English for 2 years and I don't see the progress. But the thing is, you've actually learned a lot of stuff during these 2 years. You've learned vocabulary, you've learned grammar, you've learned how to speak, but guess what? You haven't had practice, and that's your problem. Like, everything is inside, everything is there, but you need the stressful situation that would help this information come out. How do you create the stressful situation? Advice number 1. Okay, you don't have to follow it, but at least listen to it because it helped me. Oh my God, it helped me. Like, this was one of the best things, not the best, but second best. I started a YouTube channel in English, and I started this exact channel that you're watching. If you go back to my very first video, you're gonna hear that I speak in a completely different manner, and I had to cut out so many things because I started it when I was back in Russia, and I didn't have a lot of practice in English. But I knew that I had to be regular with my videos, so I switched on the camera and started talking to the camera, and this is exactly what you can do. You don't have to post them and make them public, but I would advise you to do that, because YouTube actually changed my life. You can make money with it. It's a great tool to meet new people. It's a great tool to interact with people in the comments. I would ask you to shoot a video on a topic that you love and where you think you're an expert. Post it on YouTube. There is an option to make it unlisted if you're afraid, but when I started my YouTube channel, I was also afraid, but I never shared it with my friends, so I just posted and made it live. By the way, if you decide to make a video on YouTube, please tag me and tag language so we can see this video, if you're not afraid, of course. Another advice that I will give you. Of course, you have to talk to native speakers, but I understand that sometimes when you start talking to them, you're like, I don't understand something. Sometimes they tell something using some background knowledge I have no idea about. Well, it's okay, and I'm happy to explain some concepts that they may not understand. So don't be afraid to ask people to repeat something if you don't understand. Ask them what they meant. It is also very important to stay proactive in the conversation. So even if you don't understand, again, ask questions. Maintain eye contact. I know a lot of you come from cultures where you don't look people in the eye, and I come from the same culture. I see a lot of Russian people, like, staring at the table when they talk. Don't do that. In America, people look each other in the eye, and that's the gesture of friendliness, and that means that you understand the culture. Another thing, in some cultures, people would not shake hands with women, or it would be like a weird handshake. We did like this. No, in America, it's a firm handshake, even with, girls. I shake people's hands when I go into meetings, so follow these cultural tips as well. Dominant handshake. I think America is one of the best places to study English, especially if you're interested in something else apart from English. Like, I am interested in entrepreneurship. I would come to San Francisco, then have classes in the morning, and then research meetup.com in the evening so I can meet fellow entrepreneurs. Visit offices of big companies. If you love Hollywood, go to LA. If you love design and fashion, that's New York. I love how diverse this country is, and how every city is like the top city in some particular sphere, like, business and entrepreneurship. So, select a city and come and travel. The coolest thing is that when you travel, you encounter English everywhere. I walk now, and if I want to buy something, I would just have to speak English, because nobody speaks, some people speak Russian here, but this is definitely not the language I'm going to use here. So you would have to practice. If you are coming here for the first time, I would recommend staying with a homestay, because you can stay with locals, and you can practice English 24/7. You want to be more independent? There are also student residences where you stay with people from other countries and, also communicate 24/7. But when I traveled for the first time, for the second time, for the third time, for the first time, I always stayed with homestays because I just love local people. I love to connect with them and ask them questions and, ask them to show me the best places around and, just learning. How people live here? Symptoms for the conversation. Use really simple words and don't overcomplicate what you want to say. Like, it's okay if you don't give 10 examples of the phenomena that you're describing. Use the words that you understand and that other people would understand, so they would answer you with the same words. Because if you overcomplicate things, people will repeat you in overcomplicated phrases. Don't do that. Another thing, always have a really clear call to action. Maybe before calling a company or before talking to a native speaker, write down what you need from them. Like, Have it on a piece of paper or maybe in the notes on your iPhone so that you know what to ask for. And again, you know what's the goal of the whole conversation. That's theory. What you need to do, again, you need to practice. The best progress that I had speaking English was actually when I traveled to the UK. I was 14, and imagine, Marina, like straight A student at school, thinks that she knows everything. She's the best at English. She comes to customs in the UK, and people ask her something. She doesn't get it. I didn't get what they told me. I was like, "Hello, my name is Lana Brain." "Yes, what?" Then I just didn't understand what they told me. And that's the problem. Like, you have to create those stressful situations where you put yourself in an environment where everybody speaks English, and you can easily do it by traveling, by coming here to a language school. And I've done 5 language trips in my life, and they definitely changed my life. They definitely shaped me as a person. So let's go to a real language school here in San Francisco, and I'll show you what it looks like to be there as a student. Let's go. Would you laugh at somebody who has an accent? Absolutely not. I love accents. Yeah, it's part of, that's part of learning a new language. You're always going to have an accent. A lot of people think accents are really cool. That's what I keep telling people. Sometimes, like, I have an accent, I won't be able to talk to other people. Like, I love when people speak Russian. Like, I love when they try. It doesn't matter if you do like 100 mistakes in a simple sentence. I would just, do my best to understand you. So same with English. You wouldn't laugh at people, right? Not at all. You would just encourage them to go out and practice. Excursion trips to LA, Las Vegas. It's not much, but simple to have a choice. Spencer, how old was your youngest student? We have 16-year-olds, 16 to 17-year-old students. What would you tell a student, 16, 17, afraid to travel alone? This is like their first trip. I would say, be brave. It's a great, fantastic experience to come out here on your own, live on your own, and you do learn a lot about yourself and about your ability to, go somewhere and travel. My school, I went there for like a short class. Which one night? New York filmmakers I saw on YouTube. Which video? A video how to improve better school in GMAT. I subscribe your channel. Oh my God, it's so cool. Thank you so much. And where are you guys from? South Korea. South Korea? Going to South Korea in August? I'm so excited. Yeah, Vietnam, Cambodia. Wow, F and V. Could you give me one word that starts with F? Familiar. And then, what's the word that begins with V? Volt. You say? Yeah, like electricity. And I want you to write them down on your whiteboard. So, for example, if I say ferry, you could write fairy, Ferry. But if you mishear me, you might write down this one by accident, Very. Reply with the president's recommendation. With the president's recommendation. H is adverse, an adverse. I is despite, his despite. J is claustrophobia, claustrophobia. Are you guys going to take the... We are preparing, but we not just plan, but I have taken GMAT. You can ask me anything. I would like to ask you too. I guess, you got 116 for TOEFL? 117. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. I really enjoyed the class. Nice to have you from class. I hope you learned something. I have, yes. Hi guys. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.